couple years in the making, and we're all real excited that we're about to get off the ground. A couple people I'd like to introduce. I'm Kimberly Enders. I'm the Director of Public Relations for WCTV. Charlie Gilbert is our president, and Phil, behind the camera, is our general manager. There's one person who's very important that's not with us today. In fact, our studio is dedicated to him. I'd like to just read for you the dedication. This studio is dedicated in fond memory of Edward H. Rideout, Jr. Extraordinary vision, true commitment, and compassionate leadership were the hallmarks of his life. May the reality of public access to cable television to the community of Wilmington be an embodiment of his spirit. And we have asked Mrs. Rideout if she would officially cut the ribbon for us and open WCTV.
I will do that with pleasure. Ed was so thrilled about this whole thing. Can I do it now?
Please do.
Okay, here we go.
Community Involvement Information Technology. This is Wilmington Community Television, committed to the freedom of speech and the right of every citizen to access the media. WCTV is a vital communication conduit to the residents of Wilmington. The creation of WCTV and what it has become is the result of many dedicated Wilmington residents sharing a common vision.
It seems to me that community access TV today is a real valuable way for bringing the community together. Today in our society, people are really isolated, even in the midst of a growing society, a growing population in Wilmington and other communities. There's still a sense of isolation, as people often don't know their neighbors as well as they once did. People with busy lives who have two jobs, both parents working and kind of get home just busy trying to get to know each other, a lot of times don't know what's happening around in the community. And so it seems to me in our society today, community access television really helps provide that sense of community that doesn't really exist in a lot of other ways. And especially for, with our specific situation in the church, it's amazing how many people I hear that are involved or in the community that hear our service and watch our service on TV. People that aren't even associated with the church, but they just like the fact that it's a locally broadcast of a religious service. There's plenty of other things you can get from all over the country, but there's not many other services that are local. And so they have a connection to the community. There's a number of shut-ins, a number of people who don't get out very often or might be away on a Sunday, so miss either our church service that they might be a part of, or else just miss their church service in this community, whatever denomination might be, and come home and are able to see it on TV and feel connected in a way, know what's happening. They hear the people who are raising up in concern or prayers for, and kind of feel connected to the people sitting in the pews and connected to the community in general. So I really feel it's a wonderful vehicle for connecting people, and very important in our society.
Local access has presented a number of opportunities for people. First of all, it's given residents an opportunity to get a better sense of what local government is doing, being able to see what is happening at Board of Selectmen's meetings, school committee meetings, and other town meetings, and so on. It's given residents an opportunity to do their own programming, whether it is a hobby or otherwise, to create their own programming for broadcast. It's given kids an opportunity, students an opportunity, both as a recreational resource to find out about how you program and how you set up shows, and also as an educational opportunity. I'm sure there are students that have gone on from here and perhaps taken courses in college in broadcasting. So those opportunities have just been tremendous, and I think at this point WCTV has become an institution in town.
WCTV was created in 1987 as part of Wilmington's license renewal with Greater Boston Cable Corporation. Soon after the system was purchased by Continental Cablevision, WCTV's volunteer board of directors spent the next 2 years developing policies, hiring staff, and building the access center.
I really don't think the selectmen really know what they were getting into. And I think now that they found out, they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, I saw that some really clever people were involved on that board, excluding myself, but they really knew the law, knew what was offered to the town, and had the sense to make the most of it. So initially we put on one station, but immediately jumped to 3 stations because Charlie Gilbert had the insight to say if we don't use these, the Continental or somebody else will use it for other purposes. So that was one major change, that it immediately went from few meetings, then it went to 3 channels, and everybody knew that it was worthwhile to do that.
I became the Chamber of Commerce business representative and to the Board of Directors, and there were a variety of representatives. We all started meeting in town hall, and literally there was nothing. There was a concept. There was a group of people who had an idea and a goal, but we sat down that first night and said, well, what is this going to be? You know, what's your idea and where is it going to come from? That was in 1986. And we met for quite some time in the town hall and talked about everything from what kind of equipment are we going to have to how are we going to run it, what are our rules going to be. And basically we spent our whole first year just talking and finding a location. From there we hired our first general manager, and he operated out of some rented office space that my mom, Ann Mahoney, donated. He had a desk there, and he just did some occasional shoots. But it was an adventure, I'll have to say that, because we were educating the community about what WCTV could be, and we were also trying to formulate ourselves at the same time.
I have to say that when I came in here today, I was really proud of us in the town of Wilmington, and I felt we had spent our 5% very well, because we've gone from being a kind of hit or miss starting out operation to a very professional operation. And those of us who were on that board in the beginning, I think, saw a lot of growth. And I didn't leave the board until we finally set up ways that people would leave the board after a number of years of service. And you could run again within a year if you wished. But I felt that when I left, this place was launched, and we were going to go on to do wonderful things. And I feel that we have, and I would hate to lose it.
Community members involved with WCTV are instrumental to its continuing success. Many of the town's organizations have utilized WCTV's resources to further their own mission and increase community awareness of their goals and objectives.
Continue to this day to televise the auction. It's run on a 2-night basis. The first night, the auction is held right here in the studio and is televised live throughout Wilmington. The second night, the auction is televised at the Knights of Columbus and broadcast on tape. But the first night, when we do it live from the studio, it's given us a tremendous amount of publicity and a tremendous amount of exposure. And quite frankly, over the past 7 years, it's changed the face of the auction. It's made it a completely different event for us, and it's allowed us to publicize what the Wilmington Rotary Club does throughout the town. It's been a lot of fun for us, too.
I think that this is one of the best opportunities for the senior center to put its best foot forward and explain themselves and what they have to offer to the eligible seniors who have not yet come up to the senior center and become a part of it. They literally don't know what they're missing. And every few days we do have someone new, and some of them admit that they became interested because they saw the scenes on television and they thought to themselves, well, they aren't just sitting around and playing poker or playing cards with each other or tic-tac-toe or something like that. They look like ordinary people having a good time doing what ordinary people do, and that's what it is.
We actually use WCTV a great deal for publicizing the whole recycling effort. A number of different programs that have come about since then. The curbside recycling, publicizing that, publicizing the leaf and yard waste pickup, also publicizing the backyard composting program. So it really, I think, is a tremendous asset for the town as an alternative to simply putting information in the newspaper.
WCTV's coverage of governmental meetings and political debates has become essential in educating and informing more of the public about the decisions that affect the town of Wilmington.
In terms of the life of WCTV, I became town manager. So I became town manager in June of 1990. And at that time, WCTV was really beginning to do more. And of course, they were televising meetings of the Board of Selectmen and other public agencies. And I think what it has done, and it's probably a trite and overused expression, but it's brought government much closer to the people. And one of the things that I find that it does is it eliminates a middleman, so to speak. And I make no ill comments on the news media, but certainly you're getting somebody else's point of view when they're reporting on an activity that happens at a selectmen's meeting, for example. Now people don't have to wait to find out what happens. They find out immediately, and at the same time, they find out without any kind of bias. They're able to make up their own mind as to what was said.
We first became aware of WCTV and the promise of it when we were doing candidates nights, and we wanted to get that information out to the broader community. And at this point, I don't really recall what year it was that we did the first candidates night on cable, but it was very well received by the community, and the candidates, of course, just loved it because they were able to get their message out in a way that was unbiased, that was fair, because the League is one organization that makes sure when we do candidates forums that everybody gets a fair opportunity. So that's been a wonderful thing.
Well, certainly one of the first areas that the town hall became involved in WCTV was through coverage of the selectmen's meetings. And I think that really changed the whole dynamic of selectmen's meetings once they became televised. Probably largely for the better, because people now are able to sit home and tune into the selectmen's meeting and have a greater sense as to what is happening, as opposed to having to go down to town hall.
Education has become an integral aspect of WCTV. Video production classes are being taught throughout the school system, including the high school and the middle schools. It is at the high school where these classes have been incorporated as part of the regular curriculum.
I've always looked at WCTV from kind of the educational viewpoint because that's how I really got involved. I was working in the schools at the time and always thought, this is wonderful. I mean, you can put all these kids on TV. You can say, look at the wonderful projects the teachers are doing. I thought it was just a wonderful resource.
I've definitely learned a lot from, 5 years here at the station, because it's a lot, like my goal is actually, my career goal would be to work in broadcasting at a Boston news station. So, the stuff that I've learned here, I mean, it's going to give me a, tremendous advantage over like my freshman year in college. I'll probably know a lot more than somebody who's just starting out.
I mean, when I came in here at first, I had no idea how to run a camera, and I've been learning ever since. I mean, now I know how to work basically everything here, and I can help pretty much anyone out with anything.
The classes from the high school are certainly using the facility the way that I always hoped that they would. And that didn't happen overnight. We had to find teachers who were willing to do it. We had to solve the problem of the scheduling because they have to walk over here and walk back. But in the last 3 years, Suzette Hall and then Kathy Chabot, those kids have learned something. And we have some kids who are going on to a career in video.
The things I've always wanted to see come through here, through the school department, have all in all worked out better because the young people we're getting are only almost the cream of the crop as far as this business is concerned.
WCTV is committed to being part of the communication loop of Wilmington and will continue to be in the future. In a world where technology is rapidly changing, WCTV will be crucial in keeping the residents of Wilmington informed by the residents themselves.
Awareness through communication. Anytime you can watch a program, the community, I think, is a little bit more aware right now of what the fire department is, what the firefighters do on a day-to-day basis. We last year had a program, which is one of my favorite type of programs that WCTV does. It was generated by kids that wanted to produce their own program, and they came to the fire department. They interviewed the firefighters on duty, and so there was a great learning curve for them, but also a great, again, medium for the community to see what the Wilmington firefighters do, and so that awareness just makes it the community run that much smoother.
I think with all the new technology that's coming about, right at this point, we're not really sure where everything is going to go. But as long as WCTV is around, people will still be able to express their opinions or their viewpoints or their excitement about a certain topic or event within town. And no matter how big these conglomerates get, with WCTV still around, the guy in the street can say what he thinks or make a show that he's interested in. He could do stamp collecting if he wants, and he can still do that. With the big conglomerates, he could never go and knock on their front door and say, gee, I'd like to do a cooking program, please. I mean, without credentials, nobody would listen to him. But here, we'll listen to him, we'll help him out, we'll bring him to this edit bay and say, do your thing. And that's something I think that as long as WCTV's around, that's what our technology can continue to do with the big conglomerates doing whatever they want.
she'll run again.
Live coverage of election night 1993. Good evening, my name is J.T. Turner, and I'm joined here this evening at Town Hall by a crew of about 12 of us from WCTV, and we are working as volunteers to bring you the best coverage you can find. Of course, the fact that it's the only coverage you can find becomes a moot point. We hope you'll stay with us all evening long. Ladies and gentlemen, I do have some early result tabulations. I want to stress to you that these are very, very unofficial. I will read them as they are set out in front of you. In the Board of Selectmen's race, the total count for Mr. Mark Haldane is 517 votes, about
'Wilmington is a small suburb in eastern Massachusetts and is one of the fastest growing communities in the state. Wilmington Community Television is a public access station that delivers local programming into all the homes in the town. WCTV serves many facets within the community, such as religious, school, and elder. But what does WCTV mean to the community?
Their public access to any events or any like current events or programs that we have going on, the opportunity we have to put it right on the cable station. So it'll be right out there for everyone.
The access allows the faith dimension certainly brought into homes where you're, maybe they might not otherwise be able to get to a church because of either age, illness, or some commitment or things of that nature.
One big point of access would be for students to explore their interest in communications and television and that technology.
I also think that it helps people in the community really be informed as to what's going on.
WCTV brings the message of local government directly to the people that government represents, and so it's as accurate a picture I think that we can possibly give.
WCTV means a lot to this community, and as sure as it will continue to grow, WCTV will grow with it.